every other part of the country, every other zone manager, every other regional manager in the country to get products, right? We're all fighting to get that product. So I don't like anything to leave my area if I could possibly help it. But there are times, like I said, that dealers do that swapping, and it happens. And what they'll do is they'll load a whole truck full, right? It doesn't make sense to send one vehicle up. It's cheaper to get a truckload of cars, and they'll swap pickup trucks for Corvettes or something, whatever, you know? That goes on more than you think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And one of the other things that you're seeing that the OEMs that General Motors trying to do is they're trying to build less build combinations. The more combinations cost you more money in the factory, the less combinations that you can build with options, it's better, it's cheaper, you know. And when you advertise, if you advertise a unit, for example, what we used to call a value leader or a certain kind of vehicle, you have to make sure every dealer had that in stock. That's the law. So if you're advertising a stripped down pickup truck that's got tan interior and I use red outside, then you got to make sure every dealer has that identical truck. So that way, that is the one time you start forcing the dealers to build vehicles a certain consistent way across the whole area. What we will do is before we have a new model year, we'll bring all the dealers in and have a meeting and sit down and say what we think are the most popular configurations would be come the model year. And we make suggestions on how they should order them. The other thing that does happen is we sit down with the dealer and there's a report that we used to use that could show all the build combinations and the most popular configurations that's sold in his market. Not just by him, but by every OEM. Which helped.
How did you do the other OEMs? How did you get that data?
It's a data it's data that we use. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember which company provided it, but everybody has access to it. And you can figure out what actually is the most popular configurations or what's hot and what's selling.
So we have like JD Power pin data of like we can look at which model sold how many, but you don't really get to the trim level.
That's correct. It's not the pin data. No, not the pin data. I can't remember off the top of my head.
If that name comes back to you, that'd be a great follow-up because we're trying to identify data providers that would have that level of detail.
Yes, and dealers do that. Remember, dealers want to be exclusive, right? They're little entrepreneurs, right? And they are basically building their inventory, special inventory to fit their customer, right? And like I said, there's some guys offer, they want everything tinted glass, or they want a certain kind of rim or frame. I mean, there's something that identifies their store compared to the other stores, right? We want everything to be very similar, but they're entrepreneurs and they like to be completely different from the next guy if they can possibly help it.
So a quick follow-up on that point. Earlier you mentioned that the allocation happens at the car line level and doesn't get to a level of customization below that. So I'm assuming that the rest of the customization just happens on the lot?
Dealer A earns 10 cars. He puts in 10. He gets 10. We notify him he earns 10. He's got to put the 10 the way he wants built in.
Okay, got it.
Process one is how many cars he's going to get. How many cars do you want to earn? How many cars do we allocate? Process two is a week later, 3 days later, 4, depending on what day of the week it falls on. Okay, you earned the 10 that you wanted. Now, how do you want to build them? And by the way, this is constrained. You can't put these kind of wheels on it. So
got it.
I mean that's the second part of it. So.
Got it. Okay, got it. And then I guess kind of like our next part of the conversation we want to have is given the system that you guys had at GM, if you were to design a system from scratch, I guess what changes would you have made to address some of the either pain points or things that bothered you about the system that could have been improved?
Well, I think the process in California that we had 20 years ago now, right? Distribution centers. I think today you could probably go that route. I think that was one piece that you could do today that you couldn't do 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. What happened was we had pop cons, right? Grand M, A Grand M, B Grand M.